I warned you. I warned you this was going to be the next argument. Now the argument starts. Are you ready yet? Well, let's see. Also, before we begin, somebody please tell me why this website has stopped reporting after March 30th of 2024 when this was called out. It's been a month.
So much, Mr. Chair. And I'm going to go straight to Sheriff Wayburn because I don't know if you recognize it, but I actually represent a portion of Tarrant County. So I'm very familiar with some things that are going on there. So I want to talk about some of those things. Before I do that, though, I do want to address the last things that were brought up about the census. And I'm not really sure if my colleague recognizes that Texas actually got 2 new congressional seats. The state of Texas actually grew a whopping 4 million people, and because of those 4 million people that came into Texas, or from wherever they came from, we actually got 2 new congressional seats, which Texas historically has been a red state, and New York actually lost a seat, which historically has been a blue state. So I did want to make sure we put some facts on the record.
Yep. Illegal immigration helped Texas gain congressional seats. And where are they? They're in blue cities, where she comes from. If they give the information of first-time registered American voters to illegal immigrants, who are they going to vote for? The one that gives them everything? Or the one that wants to kick them out? That's how you turn Texas blue, ladies and gentlemen.
But we are talking about immigrants a lot. In fact, there's a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric and blaming of immigrants when certain things happen. And based on things coming out of this committee, we seem to believe that immigrants are the reason why crime is up and why our communities are less safe.
All right, here we go. Well, because a few bad apples are doing something, you can't blame everybody. It's not everybody, just like it's not all white people, just like it's not all men, just like it's not all women. It's not all these people. So you should let everybody in because we catch the bad guys and then release them over and over and over again. Tell me how any of this makes sense.
So I did my research, and I want to go through some of it with you, specifically about Tarrant County, because I don't want you to have to know statistics about somewhere else.
Whoa, her own research, the obfuscation of facts, and let's not forget how crimes are being unreported now because, well, crime rate has skyrocketed so much that even Pennsylvania is telling people, hey, if you make a call, chances are they're going to kill you before we can get to you because, well, there's only a few people patrolling the streets. Have fun.
So, with that being said, Sheriff, do you know if within the last year between 2022 and 2023, if there was an increase or decrease in murder and negligent homicide in Tarrant County?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it did not increase.
Okay. In fact, it went down by almost 17%. So great job.
Now, I want you to remember the statistics that she is talking about were from the height of the George Floyd riots. You know, the Summer of Love, where they were burning stores, looting stores, killing people just because they didn't believe their ideology. Yeah. Homicides, everything else went down.
What about manslaughter by negligence, or we call it criminally negligent homicide?
I believe it also went down.
Yes.
It may be on ticking up at the moment on intoxicated homicide may be ticking up at the moment in 24.
Okay, well, we had a 56.52% decrease. How about rape?
All those categories we believe went down.
Absolutely.
And I do credit a lot of incredible law enforcement and municipal police chiefs.
Awesome. So there actually was a decrease by 3.35% in rape. Robbery went down 4.5%, and both aggravated and simple assault went collectively down by 3.18%, and theft went down by 3.89%. This is at the same time in which we're talking about the migrant community and stoking these fears that they're bringing all of this trauma and this crime and violence to our communities.
So because BLM and Antifa aren't going around killing people and raping people and robbing and assaulting and burning things down anymore because, well, it's not an election time, this looks good, ladies and gentlemen. And the fact that the American people aren't burning, looting, and murdering people all over the place is a sign that that immigrants coming into America are literally lowering the crime rate. This is the stupidest argument I have ever heard. But yet, when you bring social media influencers into our government like AOC, what do you expect?
But when we look at a Texas community, Tarrant County, actually everything has gone down. And I do want to thank you for your service in that way, because it takes a team. It can't just be one thing. It means we've got to have great law enforcement, but we also have to have really good policies. And we honestly need to be honest about the data that we see. So overall, it shows me that Sheriff in Tarrant County, all crime was down, is what I can tell from the numbers. And do you know if Dallas County, which is next door, if they had an increase or decrease in overall crime?
I think all of North Texas, we saw decreases.
Absolutely.
Every one. And again, Chief Garcia, Chief Neil Noakes, there's some great police work going on in both of those counties.
Absolutely. So I'm going to move on to something else really quickly. One of the things that I want to talk about is the border in general and policies. I'm not sure that you're aware, but I'm going to make sure that it's clear that the Senate worked on a bill, much like the Senate has done a lot more work than the House has done this entire session. And the only reason that that bill has not come to the floor to help those that need help as it relates to the border crisis is because Donald Trump specifically said that it should not come to the floor.
Ah, yes. The bill she's talking about was a Senate bill, $118 billion. Only 20 of that was supposed to go to the border. They couldn't even buy a single camera. They had to hire CBP officers. They had to hire lawyers. They had to hire judges to go through these asylum claims that are over 90% rejected. Yeah, that's a great border bill, right? That's the most secure and extensive and best border security bill we've ever had. Ladies and gentlemen, it let 5,000 people a day into this country. And the only people that counted for that 5,000 people a day were Mexicans and Canadians. Anybody from non-contiguous countries, well, they didn't count. Yeah, that's their border security bill, to codify illegal immigration.
In addition to that, I want to talk specifically about some concerns that I do have in Tarrant County. While I am so thankful that the numbers have gone down, there's been a concern about the fact that there has been a consultant that's had to come in, and this consultant has had to come into Tarrant County potentially to the tune of approximately $200,000 for an 18-month contract to help the elected sheriff identify solutions for an extensive list of jail deaths, an alarming shortage in detention officer staff, and the necessity for Tarrant County to address its overcrowded jail by entering into a $40 million contract with a privatized jail outfit to house Tarrant County's inmates in Garza County. That is concerning to me. It is concerning because as a former public defender, I actually had clients that died in the jail, and most people don't understand that the main job of a sheriff is usually to make sure that they're taking care of the jail population. And so, Sheriff, I want to make sure that while they've brought you to D.C., that we make sure that we're taking care of Tarrant County, where you and I both are locally elected to serve.
Pause right there, Crockett. Now, while it is true that you were locally elected to serve your population to the federal government, you stepped into the federal bounds, which means you are beholden to everybody, not just your voters, not just who you like in your county or whatever. You are beholden to the entire country now. what you do, the things you say are scrutinized. And, nah, you don't need to be in Congress. I've listened to you enough. Everything you say is about Orange Man bad or racism. And we're tired of it.
Because we cannot have a situation in which we have violations of people's civil rights potentially due to overcrowding, or we can't have a situation where we're losing lives because we are helping out our friends who are trying to stoke more fears about the migrant community. Because the one thing that we know from the data is when it comes to migrants in the state of Texas, specifically in Tarrant County, if anything, it looks like the numbers have gone down as far as crime overall instead of going up. And so we know.
What we know is you just admitted it right there. We are talking about the criminal aliens that come into this country and commit massive amount of crime, and they get locked up. They're not deported and released into the streets back to do whatever they want to do to continuously commit these crimes throughout the population. That is terrorism. Don't get me wrong. Using violence and intimidation for political gain is terrorism. What they're doing is a terroristic act against the United States of America. And Miss Crockett here wants to play right along involved with it. You should be okay with it because somehow the immigrant community is now lowering the overall crime that spiked back in the summer of love.
That while it is a team effort, this idea that this president is doing something so nefarious that he is trying to bring people in so that he can get them to vote for him or he can get them to help out a census in a particular state, that's just not what the case is. But I do thank you for your time, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the angry guy on the internet. Look, I listen to these things live. I listen to what they say, straight to feed it to you, and then remind you of what was said before and things like that. This is what your federal government is arguing. This is where the lies come from. This is where the misinformation comes from. This is where it all stems from. Join me on the Voice of the People channel over on Rumble. That's where I stay when I listen to these things, because you have to listen to these people. You would understand, and you would be angry too. And remember this. This is your taxpayer dollars at work. Are you happy with this representation?